A small light flashed red on the control panel. Then another. Soon the entire monitoring station of Imperial Outpost 47 was lit up with warning signals. Junior Officer Vextra leaped from his seat and ran to the main scanner. "Sir, unknown vessel detected entering the Cygnus sector," he called to his commander. Commander Zalthor moved quickly to the scanner station. His 4 eyes narrowed as he studied the readings. "Run a full scan. What kind of ship is that?" The scanners hummed as they gathered data. "Sir, it's not in our database. The design is completely unknown. But the weapons signatures..." Vextra's voice trailed off. "What about the weapons?" Zalthor demanded. "It's a warship, sir, heavily armed. The energy readings suggest weapons capabilities beyond our frontier vessels." Zalthor's skin paled to a light blue. "Send word to Central Command immediately. We have an unknown warship in Imperial space." Within minutes, the alert had reached Admiral Zortak aboard the Imperial flagship Eternal Dominion. The Admiral studied the incoming data with growing concern. "No known species in that sector has this technology," he said to his officers. "Dispatch 3 patrol cruisers to intercept and identify. Tell them to approach with caution, but show our strength." Minister Vexlar, the Emperor's security advisor, stepped forward. "Admiral, we should send the battle fleet. This could be the first wave of an invasion." "Let's not overreact, Minister. 3 cruisers will be enough to contain 1 ship while we gather information." Miles away, aboard the U.S. Defiant, Captain John Mercer stared at the navigation display with growing frustration. "Mr. Bishop, I thought you fixed the navigation system," he said to his chief engineer. Alan Bishop scratched his head. "I did, Captain. Or I thought I did. Something's interfering with our position calculations. According to these readings, we're nowhere near where we're supposed to be." Lieutenant Olivia Reeves looked up from her tactical station. "Captain, I'm detecting 3 vessels approaching at high speed. They're on an intercept course." "Hostile?" asked Mercer. "Unknown, sir, but their weapons systems appear to be active." Captain Mercer stood up. "Yellow alert. Shields up, but keep weapons offline. We don't want to appear threatening. Let's try to talk to them." Communications Officer Daniel Wright turned in his chair. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission. It's being broadcast in multiple languages. None of them match anything in our database." "Put it on speakers. Let's hear what they have to say." The bridge filled with strange sounds and clicks. Wright shook his head. "It will take time to translate, sir." "Do your best, Mr. Wright. In the meantime, Lieutenant Reeves, what's our tactical situation?" "The 3 ships have taken positions around us, sir. They could be preparing to attack, or escort us somewhere." Captain Mercer nodded. "Send a universal greeting on all frequencies. Make it clear we mean no harm." On the Eternal Dominion, Admiral Zortak received the first visual images of the human ship. "Notice the design," he told his officers. "No Empire markings, no clan symbols. And look at the weapon ports, unlike anything we've seen before." Minister Vexlar slammed his fist on the table. "This is clearly a threat. The ship is in a restricted sector with no authorization. We must neutralize this human vessel immediately." "Humans?" Admiral Zortak asked. "How do you know they're humans?" "Our deepest archives have records of encounters with their kind from the outer reaches. They are dangerous, unpredictable, and expanding their territory rapidly." Admiral Zortak considered this information. "We will capture this vessel for study rather than destroy it. Order the patrol ships to prepare boarding parties." Back on the Defiant, Captain Mercer called his senior officers together. "It seems we've stumbled into someone else's territory," he told them. "And they don't look happy about it." Suggestions. Chief Engineer Bishop spoke first. "We could try to run, but not until I fix the navigation system." Lieutenant Reeves shook her head. "Those ships are faster than they look. I don't recommend it." "Then we talk," decided Mercer. "And if talking fails, we have contingency plans. Let's hope it doesn't come to that." Outside, the Imperial ships moved closer, their boarding shuttles preparing to launch. The Imperial boarding shuttles approached the U.S. Defiant. Commander Kelthur led the boarding party, his soldiers checking their weapons one final time. "Remember, secure the ship and capture the crew alive," Kelthur ordered. "The Admiral wants prisoners for questioning." The shuttles reached the Defiant's hull, but the Imperial boarding team faced an unexpected problem. Their docking tubes would not connect to the human ship's airlocks. "The technology is incompatible," reported a frustrated technician. "We cannot create a proper seal." Commander Kelthur contacted Admiral Zortak. "Sir, we cannot board using standard procedures. Their ship design is too different." On the Defiant, Security Chief Gregory Martinez watched the Imperial attempts to board with satisfaction. "They can't get in, Captain," he reported. "Different airlock designs." Captain Mercer nodded thoughtfully. "That buys us some time. Any progress with communications, Mr. Wright?" Communications Officer Wright looked up from his station. "Some, sir. I've isolated several repeated patterns in their transmissions. With more samples, I might be able to create a basic translation matrix." Captain Mercer made a decision. "Let's give them more to work with. Open a channel." Wright complied, and Mercer spoke clearly. "This is Captain John Mercer of the United Earth ship Defiant. We are on a peaceful mission of exploration and entered your space due to a navigation malfunction. We mean no harm." After a pause, Wright said, "Captain, they're responding, but still in their language. Keep recording." Science Officer Lewis, "What can you tell me about their ships?" Karen Lewis studied her readings. "Interesting, sir. Their hulls use some materials we've never seen before, but overall, their technology seems less advanced than ours in several key areas, especially propulsion and weapons." "Less advanced. You wouldn't know it from how many ships they have," Martins commented. Meanwhile, on the Imperial flagship, a linguist named Tayla had been summoned. She listened to the human transmissions with growing excitement. "This language has structure I can work with," she told Admiral Zortak. "With more exchanges, I can develop a translation algorithm." Minister Vexlar paced impatiently. "We don't need to understand them to destroy them." Admiral Zortak raised a hand for silence. "Knowledge before action, Minister. I want to know why they're here before I decide their fate." After several hours of communication attempts, both sides had made progress. Tayla and Daniel Wright had independently developed rough translation programs. "Captain," Wright called, "I think we can manage basic communication now." "Excellent. Tell them we request a face-to-face meeting to resolve this situation peacefully." The message was sent, and Admiral Zortak considered the request. "It could be a trap," Minister Vexlar warned. "Or an opportunity," countered Admiral Zortak. "Commander Kelthur, prepare a small delegation. I want to see these humans up close." Captain Mercer met the Imperial delegation in the Defiance conference room. The humans tried to hide their surprise at the aliens' appearance. Tall, blue-skinned beings with 4 eyes and elongated limbs. The Imperials were equally fascinated by the humans. Commander Kelthur spoke first, his words translated by a device Tayla had programmed. "Why have you brought a warship into Imperial space?" he demanded. Captain Mercer kept his voice calm. "As I explained in our transmission, we experienced a navigation system failure. We meant no intrusion into your territory." Kelthur's upper eyes narrowed. "Your ship carries many weapons for a peaceful mission. We explore unknown space. Not all species we encounter are friendly. Surely your own ships are armed for the same reason." Science Officer Lewis had been scanning the Imperials discreetly. She sent a private message to Captain Mercer's tablet. "Their biology is fascinating. Oxygen brothers like us, but different base biochemistry." Minister Vexlar received his own message from an aide who had analyzed Lewis's scans. "They are studying us, and their technology can see through our protective gear." Vexlar immediately contacted Admiral Zortak. "These humans possess scanning technology that penetrates our defenses. I'm ordering reinforcements to this sector immediately." Admiral Zortak frowned at this overreaction, but couldn't countermand the minister's authority to request ships. Instead, he decided to learn more. "Captain Mercer," he said, joining the meeting through holographic projection, "I am Admiral Zortak. To verify your peaceful intentions, I wish to see your ship and meet your crew." Mercer recognized the opportunity. "We would be honored, Admiral. When would you like to visit?" As preparations began for the Admiral's visit, Engineer Bishop whispered to Martinez, "Do you think this is wise?" Martinez shook his head. "No, but it beats the alternative." Admiral Zortak stepped onto the Defiant's main deck and tried not to show his amazement. The human ship was cleaner, more efficient, and more advanced than he had expected. Captain Mercer led the tour personally. "This is our bridge," Mercer explained as they entered the command center. "From here, we control all ship functions." The Admiral noticed how few crew members operated the controls compared to Imperial ships. "Your automation is impressive," he admitted reluctantly. Lieutenant Reeves demonstrated the tactical systems, carefully avoiding details about weapon capabilities. Engineer Bishop showed off the engine room, explaining just enough about their propulsion system to be polite without revealing secrets. During the tour, an accident occurred. An Imperial officer named Grekful touched a panel despite warnings and received an electrical shock. He fell to the floor, his breathing labored. "Get him to medical," Captain Mercer ordered. The humans quickly carried the injured alien to their medical bay. Dr. Patricia Miller assessed the situation calmly. "His system has been shocked, but I believe I can treat him. However, I need to know more about his biology." The Imperial medical officer reluctantly shared information about their physiology. Dr. Miller adapted her treatment accordingly and soon had Grekful stabilized. "Thank you for saving my officer," Admiral Zortak said, genuinely impressed. Meanwhile, Security Chief Martinez discovered troubling information. He quietly approached Captain Mercer during a break in the tour. "Sir, long-range scans show a large fleet of Imperial ships heading our way. They're coming in fast." Mercer kept his expression neutral but nodded slightly. "Keep monitoring. Let me know if they change course." To ease growing tensions, Entertainment Officer Liz Johnson suggested a cultural exchange in the ship's recreation room. She prepared food and drinks suitable for both species and selected music and videos to share. "This might help them see us as people, not just potential enemies," she told the captain. The gathering started well. The Imperials were curious about human culture, and Johnson was happy to explain. She showed them various entertainments, including music videos, sports, and finally, an action movie about ancient Earth warfare. This was a mistake. The Imperials watched in horror as humans fought with primitive weapons, enduring terrible wounds, yet continuing to fight. "Your species evolved on a death world," one Imperial scientist whispered in awe. "The gravity, the predators, the constant warfare. How did you survive?" "We adapt," Captain Mercer said simply. "It's what humans do best." In a corner of the recreation room, Engineer Bishop had struck up a conversation with Imperial scientist Nevereth. They compared notes on various technologies and found they had much to teach each other. "Your approach to quantum field manipulation is fascinating," Nevereth admitted. "We never considered using phase variance that way." Bishop smiled. "And your material sciences are incredible. I'd love to learn more about your hull composites." Their technical discussion was interrupted when Minister Vexler entered the room unexpectedly. The minister had arrived on a fast shuttle, bypassing normal protocols. "This exchange ends now," he announced. "These humans will be detained for security evaluation at Imperial Command." Admiral Zortak looked embarrassed. "Minister, we have no cause to detain them. They've been cooperative and transparent." "Transparent?" Vexlar scoffed. "They show us entertainment while hiding their true capabilities. My sources indicate this ship could destroy our entire patrol fleet if it wanted to." Captain Mercer stepped forward. "We have no intention of fighting. Our mission is peaceful." "Then you will submit to detention and questioning," Vexlar demanded. "We will not be detained," Mercer said firmly. "But we are willing to travel under escort to your headquarters and establish proper diplomatic relations." Vexillar's face darkened. "That is not acceptable." Admiral Zortak intervened. "Minister, the captain's offer is reasonable. Let us not create a conflict where none is needed." Outside the ship, more Imperial vessels arrived, surrounding the Defiant completely. The humans and Imperials in the recreation room could feel the tension growing with each passing moment. Dr. Miller whispered to Science Officer Lewis, "I hope the captain knows what he's doing. We're outnumbered 20-1 now." Lewis nodded. "But from what I've seen of their technology, numbers may not be enough if this turns ugly." A bright flash lit up space near the Defiant. Everyone on both human and Imperial ships turned to look as a sleek vessel appeared seemingly from nowhere. "Captain, it's the diplomatic ship Aurora," Lieutenant Reeves reported. "They've just completed FTL travel directly into this sector." The Imperials were stunned. Their own ships required days to travel the same distance this human vessel had covered in an instant. "How is this possible?" Admiral Zortak demanded. "No ship can calculate FTL jumps with such precision." Before Captain Mercer could respond, Minister Vexillar shouted, "This proves my point. They have technology far beyond what they've shown us. They are a threat." The Aurora established communication with the Defiant. Ambassador Ryan Peters appeared on screen. "Captain Mercer, we received your emergency beacon. I've been dispatched to handle this first contact situation. Please brief me on developments." While Mercer updated the ambassador, Imperial historian Jax Vu arrived on the flagship. He had traveled with Minister Vexillar, but had been studying the data rather than immediately confronting the humans. "Admiral, Minister," Jax Vu said urgently, "I've compared these humans to our ancient records. They match descriptions of the legendary destroyers who challenged the early Empire 5,000 years ago." This news sent shockwaves through the Imperial leadership. The destroyers were figures of myth, said to possess incredible technology and ferocity. On the Defiant, Navigation Officer Susan Taylor made an important discovery. "Captain, I've identified the source of our navigation malfunction," she reported. "There's an object in this sector emitting a signal that interfered with our systems. And, sir, it's of human origin." Captain Mercer and Ambassador Peters reviewed Taylor's findings. The object was an ancient Earth probe, launched centuries ago before humans had developed faster-than-light travel. "This explains why we were drawn to this sector," Mercer said. "Our navigation system detected a human signal and tried to investigate. When this information was shared with the Imperials, reactions were mixed. Admiral Zortak found it a reasonable explanation. Minister Vexillar saw it as proof of a long-term invasion plan. This probe contains Earth coordinates and basic human information," Vexillar announced. "They have been planning to find us for centuries. This is the advance scout for an invasion." The situation grew more complex when High Council member Dresna arrived. Outranking both the Admiral and Minister, Dresna was known for her moderate views and analytical mind. "I will assess this situation myself," she declared. "Too much is at stake for hasty decisions." Ambassador Peters suggested a formal dinner between human and Imperial leadership. "Breaking bread together is an ancient human custom of peace," he explained. Dresna agreed, curious about human customs. The dinner was arranged in the Defiant's main dining hall, with security from both sides present but unobtrusive. During the meal, humans explained their history of space exploration, while Imperials described their vast empire spanning thousands of worlds. "Our species are not so different," Ambassador Peters observed. "We both seek knowledge and security." "Perhaps," Dresna allowed. "But your rapid technological advancement concerns us. Species should develop at a natural pace." As dessert was served, alarms sounded throughout the Defiant. Security Chief Martinez burst into the dining hall. "Captain, we've detected unauthorized access to our propulsion systems. Someone is trying to sabotage the ship." Imperial and human security forces began accusing each other, reaching for weapons. Captain Mercer raised his voice to be heard over the chaos. "Everyone stand down. Engineer Bishop, report." Bishop's voice came over the comm system. "Captain, I've isolated the sabotage attempt. It's coming from a shuttle that docked during the dinner, not from our current Imperial guests." Dresna turned to Minister Vexlar with suspicious eyes. "Did you authorize this, Minister?" Vexlar looked genuinely confused. "I did not." Security teams from both ships rushed to investigate. They discovered a small group of Imperial extremists loyal to Vexlar's ideology, though not directly commanded by him. The sabotage was stopped before any serious damage occurred. This action was not sanctioned by Imperial command, Admiral Zortak assured the humans. Captain Mercer nodded, but trust had been severely damaged. Ambassador Peters and Dresna tried to salvage the diplomatic progress, but both sides now viewed each other with renewed suspicion. In her quarters, Navigation Officer Taylor continued studying the ancient probe. "Captain," she called over the comm, "I found something else in the probe's data. Something important." Navigation Officer Taylor's discovery spread quickly through the command chain. The ancient probe contained not just Earth coordinates, but warnings about another alien species that had attacked early human colonies. "Captain, the probe was programmed to warn any human ships that might find it," Taylor explained. "It describes attackers that match no known profile in our database." Before Captain Mercer could fully process this information, long-range sensors detected new arrivals. A fleet of human ships dropped out of FTL travel, led by the massive carrier UES Intrepid. "Captain, Fleet Admiral Elizabeth Nelson is hailing us," Communications Officer Wright reported. Admiral Nelson's face appeared on screen. Her expression was stern. "Captain Mercer, we lost contact with you and picked up your emergency beacon. Are you under duress?" "No, Admiral. We've made first contact with the Galactic Empire. The situation is complex, but currently stable. The Imperial forces reacted with alarm to the arrival of human reinforcements. Their own media broadcasts began describing humans as invaders, while Grand General Vraxon, the Empire's highest military commander, ordered the main battle fleet mobilized. "They're coming in greater numbers," Vraxon announced to his officers. "We must show strength or risk looking weak." On the Defiant, Captain Mercer and Ambassador Peters worked desperately to maintain the fragile peace. High Council member Dresna helped from the Imperial side, but tensions remained high. Fleet Admiral Nelson dispatched tactical advisor Joseph King to the Defiant. King was known throughout human space as a strategic genius. He quickly analyzed Imperial military capabilities. "Their ships outnumber ours 10 to 1, King reported, "but their weapons are less advanced. The concerning issue is this energy-dampening technology they use. Our shields might not stop it." While both sides prepared for possible conflict, an unexpected message arrived for the humans. It came through a heavily encrypted channel directly to Engineer Bishop's terminal. "Captain, someone called Mirali is trying to contact us," Bishop reported. "She claims to be an Imperial scientist with important information." The message was routed to a secure room where Captain Mercer, Ambassador Peters, and Admiral Nelson met with the Imperial scientist through a holographic projection. "The Empire is not telling you everything," Mirali said, her image flickering. "There is another threat in this sector. The creatures your probe warned about have returned. Our deep space outposts have been going silent for months." "Why tell us this?" Admiral Nelson asked suspiciously. "Because I believe cooperation is better than conflict," Mirali replied. "And because the Empire is about to launch a first strike against your fleet. Minister Vexlar has convinced many leaders that destroying your ships is the only safe option." The humans shared this information with High Council member Dresna, who was troubled but not surprised. "Minister Vexlar has been pushing for aggressive action," she confirmed. "I will try to intervene." But his influence has grown. Hours later, Imperial security forces stormed Mirali's laboratory. Minister Vexlar personally supervised her arrest. Treason against the Empire during a time of crisis is punishable by immediate execution, he told her coldly. Word of Miralle's arrest reached the Defiant through Dresna's channels. Captain Mercer called an emergency meeting with his senior officers. She risked everything to warn us, he said. We can't let her die for that. Security Chief Martinez outlined a daring rescue plan. It's high risk, Captain. If we're caught, it could start a war. It might be worth it, Engineer Bishop argued. She knows their technology and their true intentions. She could be invaluable. Captain Mercer made his decision. We're going in. Small team, minimal footprint. Lieutenant Reeves, you'll lead the extraction. The rescue team departed in a shuttle disguised with Imperial markings that Science Officer Lewis had replicated. They infiltrated the detention center where Miralle was being held and managed to extract her despite heavy security. When Minister Vexlar learned of the rescue, he was furious. This is an act of war, he declared. The humans have violated our sovereignty and stolen an Imperial prisoner. Admiral Zortak tried to urge caution, but military communications were already declaring alert status throughout the Imperial fleet. High Council member Dresna made one last attempt at peace. She requested a private meeting with Captain Mercer and Ambassador Peters. There is something you should know, she told them gravely. The Empire is itself under threat from another alien force. The same one your probe warned about. We call them the Harvesters. They do not communicate or negotiate. They simply take what they want and destroy the rest. As she finished speaking, weapons fire erupted from an Imperial cruiser, striking the smaller human vessel. Whether the shot was ordered or accidental, it didn't matter anymore. The first battle between humans and the Galactic Empire had begun. The first shots echoed across space. A human support vessel took damage, but managed to raise shields in time to prevent destruction. Captain Mercer ordered the Defiant to battle stations but held fire. All ships, defensive positions only. Fleet Admiral Nelson commanded over the fleet channel. Do not fire unless fired upon. We still have a chance to stop this. On the Imperial flagship, Admiral Zortak was furious. Who authorized that cruiser to fire? He demanded. I did, said Grand General Vraxun, stepping onto the bridge. The humans rescued a traitor and were positioning their fleet for attack. I acted to protect the Empire. Initial skirmishes broke out between the two fleets. Human ships moved with surprising speed and coordination, while Imperial vessels relied on their superior numbers to surround and overwhelm. Wing Commander Nicole Palmer led the Defiant's fighter squadron into space. Her 12 fighters were outnumbered by over 100 Imperial craft, but Palmer had trained for exactly these odds. Diamond formation, she ordered her pilots. Unpredictable vector changes every 17 seconds. Use the maneuvers we practiced. The human fighters moved in ways the Imperial pilots had never seen. They changed direction at speeds that would have killed most species, executing turns that seemed to defy physics. How are they surviving those G-forces? An Imperial commander asked in disbelief. One by one, Imperial fighters were disabled or destroyed while the human squadron remained intact. Palmer's tactics confused and divided the numerically superior Imperial forces. Meanwhile, systems specialist Frank Howard worked frantically in the Defiant's computer core. He had been studying Imperial communications since first contact. Captain, I think I can create a virus that will temporarily disable their targeting systems, he reported. It won't last long, but it might give us a breathing space. Do it, Captain Mercer ordered. But make sure it doesn't affect life support or engines. We want to stop this fight, not kill anyone unnecessarily. The virus deployed, spreading through the Imperial fleet's connected systems. Suddenly, weapons on dozens of ships went offline. Some Imperial captains panicked, while others maintained discipline. Imperial Commander Zelnar, leading a squadron of destroyers, received orders to attack a disabled human medical ship. Sir, that vessel is clearly marked as medical, his second officer pointed out. It has no weapons and is treating wounded from both sides. Zelnar made his decision. I will not attack a medical vessel. It violates our own military code. His refusal to follow orders spread through the fleet, causing a divide among Imperial forces. Some ships followed Zelnar's example, standing down from attacking non-combat vessels. As the battle continued, long-range sensors detected new contacts approaching from deep space. Neither human nor Imperial in design, these ships moved with deadly purpose. "Captain, unknown vessels approaching," Lieutenant Reeves reported. "They matched the description from the ancient probe. They're firing on both our ships and Imperial vessels." The harvesters had arrived. Their ships, organic in appearance with sharp, crystalline protrusions, cut through space like predators. They fired without warning, destroying an Imperial cruiser and 2 human frigates in their opening salvo. "All ships, new contact is hostile to both sides." Admiral Nelson broadcast on all frequencies, including Imperial ones. "I repeat, new enemy is attacking both human and Imperial forces." Captain Mercer opened a direct channel to Admiral Zortak. "Admiral, we have a common enemy. These are the harvesters your counselor mentioned. We need to stop fighting each other." On his bridge, Admiral Zortak watched as a harvester vessel tore through one of his dreadnoughts like it was made of paper. Minister Vexlar continued to demand they fight both enemies, but the Admiral had seen enough. "All Imperial vessels, cease fire against human ships," he commanded. "Focus all weapons on the harvester vessels." Captain Mercer and Admiral Zortak quickly established a joint defense plan. Human ships, faster and more maneuverable, would engage the harvesters directly, while Imperial vessels provided covering fire from distance. The battle lines were formed, with former enemies now fighting side by side. Human and Imperial fighter pilots found themselves covering each other as they attacked the harvester ships. But the situation remained desperate. The harvesters' technology was advanced, their weapons cutting through shields that had worked against other weapons. More ships were arriving by the minute. "We need more firepower," Captain Mercer told his officers. "And we need it fast." As if in answer to his words, the sensors detected a massive object emerging from FTL travel. A harvester mothership had appeared, dwarfing even the largest vessels in either fleet. "My God," whispered Admiral Nelson as the image appeared on her screen. "That thing is the size of a small moon." The harvester mothership cast a shadow across both fleets. Its surface bristled with weapons, and smaller craft poured from launch bays like angry insects from a disturbed hive. "We need better coordination," Captain Mercer said to Admiral Zortak. "Our forces are fighting the same enemy, but not working together effectively." Admiral Zortak agreed. "We should establish a joint command center." They chose a neutral vessel, an Imperial diplomatic ship with enough space for both human and Imperial officers. Captain Mercer brought AI specialist Laura Wilson to help solve their communication problems. "The language barrier is slowing our response time," Wilson explained. "I can create an integrated command system that will translate in real time and standardize tactical displays." While Wilson worked with Imperial technicians, human and Imperial ships fought desperately against the growing harvester fleet. Wing Commander Palmer's fighters protected Imperial cruisers, while Imperial carriers launched waves of fighters to cover human capital ships. Marine Commander Jason Reed led the first joint boarding action. When a harvester scout ship was disabled, Reed took a team of human Marines and Imperial soldiers to capture it. "Stay together," he ordered both groups. "We don't know what we'll find in there." Inside the harvester ship, they discovered no individual aliens, only a hive-like structure of organic technology. Reed and his team collected samples before setting explosive charges. Back at the Joint Command Center, Tech Master Volkar of the Empire worked with Engineer Bishop to analyze the harvester technology. "These readings suggest they operate as a hive mind," Volkar said. "Each ship is part of a greater consciousness." Bishop nodded. "If we could disrupt that connection, we might confuse them long enough to gain an advantage." They began designing a hybrid weapon combining Imperial energy dampening technology with human quantum field generators. The work was difficult, with both sides reluctant to share their most advanced knowledge. Meanwhile, Captain Mercer and Admiral Zortak studied the harvester attack patterns. "They're harvesting technology and resources from our destroyed ships," Mercer observed. "That's why they're called harvesters. Our ancient records say they consume advanced civilizations," Zortak replied. "They've been doing this for thousands of years." Analysis of the ancient human probe revealed more details about the harvesters. Science Officer Lewis and Imperial scientist Miralay worked together, translating the old data. "The probe encountered them 200 years ago," Lewis reported. "It says they're not organic life as we understand it. They're an autonomous system created by an ancient race to collect technology from unworthy species." "Unworthy by whose standards?" Mercer asked. "The probe doesn't say," Lewis answered, "but it seems they judged civilizations somehow before attacking." The fighting intensified. Human and Imperial ships adapted to each other's tactics, forming an effective, if unusual, combined fleet. But the harvester numbers kept growing as more ships arrived from deep space. In a secured section of the command center, Minister Vexlar watched with growing unease. The cooperation between humans and Imperials troubled him deeply. He believed it would forever change the balance of power in the galaxy. When no one was looking, he accessed the terminal where Bishop and Volkar had stored their hybrid weapon plans. With a few careful adjustments, he introduced a flaw that would cause the weapon to fail when activated. "The Empire must remain supreme," he whispered to himself. "Better to face the harvesters alone than be dependent on humans." But Tech Master Volkar had anticipated potential sabotage. He had installed security protocols that detected Vexlar's changes immediately. Imperial guards, loyal to Admiral Zortak, placed the minister under arrest. "The weapon design is intact," Volkar reported to the Joint Command. "We can proceed with construction." Within hours, the first prototype was ready. It was a simple device that would produce a quantum wave on a specific frequency that disrupted the harvester hive mind communication. "We only have enough material for one shot," Bishop warned, "and it needs to be detonated inside the mothership to affect the entire harvester fleet." Captain Mercer and Admiral Zortak looked at each other, both knowing what this meant. Someone would need to lead a suicide mission into the heart of the mothership. "I'll go," they both said simultaneously. Before they could argue further, the harvester mothership began to move, positioning itself for a massive attack that could wipe out both fleets at once. "We're out of time," Admiral Nelson said from her flagship. "The assault team needs to launch now." As the final assault team prepared, human and Imperial forces gathered for one last, desperate attack on the harvester mothership. The final assault began. Human fighters and Imperial cruisers created a path through the harvester fleet toward the mothership. Captain Mercer and Admiral Zortak led the mission together, neither willing to let the other take the risk alone. "This is against protocol," Lieutenant Reeves had protested. "Both fleet commanders on the same high-risk mission." "Sometimes protocols must be broken," Mercer replied simply. Their ship was small and fast, a human stealth vessel modified with Imperial cloaking technology. Engineer Bishop and Tech Master Volkar had worked through the night to make it compatible with the disruption device. The small team included 4 humans and 4 Imperials, all volunteers. As they approached the massive mothership, harvester vessels swarmed around them. Wing Commander Palmer led her fighters in a daring diversion. "Drawing their attention now, Captain," Palmer reported over the comm. "You should have a clear path to entry point Delta." The assault team's ship slipped through an opening in the mothership's outer hull, landing in what appeared to be a maintenance bay. The team moved quickly, placing explosive charges to secure their escape route if they survived. The central node should be 3 levels down. Science Officer Lewis guided them via comlink. "Our scans show heavy energy readings from that location." They encountered automated defense systems, but no living creatures. The team fought their way deeper into the ship, humans and Imperials protecting each other with their complementary fighting styles. Meanwhile, the combined fleet battled desperately against overwhelming odds. Ship after ship fell to harvester weapons. "We can't hold much longer," Admiral Nelson warned. "The disruption device must be activated soon." Inside the mothership, the team finally reached the central chamber. It was a vast space, filled with crystalline structures and pulsing energy columns. "This is it," Engineer Bishop confirmed, checking his scanner. "This is the hive mind nexus." As they prepared the device, a holographic image appeared before them. It was a strange, shifting form that seemed to incorporate aspects of many different species. "We are the collectors," it announced in multiple overlapping voices. "We preserve the knowledge of the cosmos. Only worthy species may advance beyond their cradles." "You don't preserve," Admiral Zortak replied angrily. "You destroy and steal. Unworthy species waste resources and spread conflict." The entity continued. "We have judged your kind for millennia. The Empire has stagnated. Humans are chaotic and unpredictable." Captain Mercer stepped forward. "That's exactly why we'll survive. Our differences make us stronger together. We adapt. We overcome. Your alliance is temporary." The entity dismissed them. "Born of necessity, it will not last." While the entity spoke, the team finished setting up the device. Bishop nodded to Mercer, signaling it was ready. "You're wrong," Mercer told the entity. "Today proves different species can work together against a common threat. That cooperation is the true test of worthiness." He activated the device. There was no explosion, just a pulse of energy that rippled outward through the ship. The holographic entity flickered and distorted. "What have you done?" it asked, its voices now discordant and confused. "Broken your connection," Admiral Zortak explained. "Your ships are now individuals, not a hive." Outside, the effect was immediate. Harvester ships stopped in mid-attack, their movements becoming erratic. Some fired on each other, others simply drifted in space. "It's working," shouted Admiral Nelson from her flagship. "The Harvester fleet is in disarray." The assault team raced back to their ship. Against all odds, they escaped the mothership before it began to collapse in on itself. As human and Imperial vessels regrouped, they discovered something remarkable. In the center of the former mothership's debris field was a perfect sphere, untouched by the destruction around it. "What is that?" Captain Mercer asked as their ship approached it. Scientific scans revealed the answer. "It's an archive," Miraleh explained with awe in her voice. "It contains the accumulated knowledge of thousands of civilizations the Harvesters encountered." Weeks later, as the damaged fleets made repairs, the first diplomatic summit between humanity and the Galactic Empire began. Imperial Sovereign Dexmora herself arrived to meet with President William Carter of Earth. "From conflict comes understanding," President Carter said during the opening ceremony. "Our species have more in common than we knew." The Harvester Archive was placed under joint control, with scientists from both civilizations studying its secrets together. Captain Mercer watched from the side as the formal alliance was signed. Admiral Zortak stood beside him. "Why was your ship in our sector?" Zortak asked with a slight smile. "It seems like a lifetime ago that I wanted an answer to that question." "Navigation malfunction," Mercer replied. "The best mistake we ever made." On the newly established joint training vessel, Junior Officer Kevin Barnes welcomed the first class of mixed human and Imperial cadets. "Together, we will build a future stronger than either of us could create alone," he told them. "That is the lesson of the Defiant."